Welcome into Extra Time. Thank you very much for your tweets. Frank Leboeuf and Craig Burley with me. Frank, today...
By the way, I'm not doing impressions this week.
What do you mean this week? You already did it a couple of days ago. It was amazing.
Was it?
Yes.
I'm not doing it again.
I don't think there's any impressions questions today. Today would have been Euro 2020 first day. Who would have become champions if Euro 2020 played as scheduled, Frank?
England. Let's say England. I don't put France, or maybe the Netherlands. Between England and the Netherlands. I wouldn't put France because too many injuries.
Who's injured?
But almost everybody was injured before, 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and now they fit back, but they wouldn't be ready to fight and to give their best. I think many players were Kante, for example, was injured, and I don't know, I don't remember. Oh, Lucas Hernandez was injured. No, I can. Lloris just came back from injury.
Yeah.
So
England didn't really have a
is that
striker.
enough for
They
you,
were all
or do you want
injured
me
as
to
well.
have a list?
Kane was injured. Rashford injured.
I didn't hear what you said.
All right,
really.
just ignoring me,
Because I was
basically.
talking at the
Craig,
same
who
time.
would have won it?
France, regardless.
What about their injury?
Oh, no, you cannot say that. Come on.
Oh, come on. Don't be anti-French.
We're gonna
Bloody
win.
French.
We're gonna win it next year.
No, but you know, Craig,
we
his
don't win it
appearance
next year.
money goes down, doesn't it? If they win the Euros as well, off the back of the World Cup, who's going to want Frank Leboeuf anymore to speak anywhere?
No,
Yeah, that's right. I'll get other more
that's
recent
so
winners.
lame.
That's it.
No.
Selfish.
They only can do as good as we did. That's it. They can't do better.
Of course they can. They can win the World Cup again after, can't they?
Yes, you're right. Yes,
Right, good.
of course. Yeah.
Frank, who are your best football friends off the pitch?
Vicente Lizarazu. We started to know each other. In fact, we hated each other because we played in League 2 when I was in Strasbourg and he was in Bordeaux, and we had big fight for the first place. And it was a crazy season with even Dugarry was playing in the League 2 with Bordeaux, and it was a very hard time between the two clubs, and we hated each other. And then we been selected with the national team, and we started to know each other, and we got along very well. And since then we call each other more than we see each other, but we care of each other.
Oh, beautiful, Frank. What about you, Craig? Who do you still call, have a little chat to?
Well, Kevin Hitchcock was my best man.
Yep.
From Chelsea, the goalkeeper. Most of the lads at Chelsea, we all got on very well, and I would say I still speak to several of the Celtic players. I'm still in touch on social media with Rory Delap from Derby and a few others there. So, and some of the Scotland boys as well. Yeah. So quite a few.
Kun Aguero or Harry Kane? Frank?
Kun Aguero, because of his past, what he did, and I like, and I know that it was always harder for me to play against players like Aguero than big boys like Kane. Even if Kane is absolutely tremendous, Aguero has something special for me.
What made it more difficult, Frank?
Because they're small, and it's hard to cope with small players when you're tall, and because they go around you, they turn, they can't fall. You touch them, they go for the free kick. It's unbearable with them when they run. If you are with the big boys like Marcus, Harry Kane, or Drogba, you can confront yourself and fight against them, and you feel freer to even get into them, you know. So it's hard to cope with those players. With Zola, for example, Owen, now Aguero, complicated.
It's the same with presenters, Frank. The small pesky ones that think they know it all are the worst. They're always the most difficult to deal with. You know, just because he's back in the building, he thinks he's got half a brain in his head now. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so quiet.
Especially
Craig.
when
It's great.
the English, you know, on top of it, they fight. They never let go. That's very complicated.
You know. No, well, he can't fight. Sebi would beat him.
Yeah, oh, that's fair.
I don't know who are we talking about or talking about. Yeah, no, we don't know. I don't know.
Who is the most underrated player you've played with? Would you go Mark Hughes, Frank? You've mentioned this before.
I don't know if he was underrated because he was absolutely fantastic. Lots of people knew it. I mean, at Old Trafford or at Stamford Bridge in Wales, he was named as a hero, I would say. I don't know. I think Roberto Di Matteo. Until he came to England, he didn't play a lot for Italy. I think he was absolutely fantastic. He was a great lad, a very important person in the squad, and absolutely intelligent person. And I think he wasn't known as a player, as a top player. I think enough for me.
Craig?
I'll throw a couple of names out there. One of them, I don't know if he would have been underrated, but I think Frank would appreciate, Stevie Clark at Chelsea.
Oh, yeah.
Whether he played centre-half or full-back was, probably 7 or 8 out of 10 almost every game. Very, very quick. He didn't realise how quick he was. He was very clever. And just was a solid player, Clarkey. I don't think people realised how good a player he was. And the other one would have been a guy I played in midfield with Celtic, who was the Danish international Morten Weghorst. Morten Weghorst was a supremely talented player, about 6'3", 6'4", but just glided across the surface and had a great touch. And so guys like that, I don't think sometimes supporters appreciate the job people like that do for the teams.
Chelsea then, boys. Their front three, is it better with Pulisic or Abraham joining Werner and Zieych? What do you think, Frank?
Well, the position of the player will be different. If it's Pulisic, because Werner will play at front. If it's Abraham, Werner will play on the left side. Hard to say. I think if I'm Frank Lampard, I start with Werner, Abraham, and Zieych, and then see how it goes. Because on top, you buy 2 players. If it's to put one of them on the bench, there is no reason to get them. You bring them because you think you're going to be better with them. So that's as simple as that. Pulisic has, I think, still have a progression to make it at some point. He's already a fantastic player. He proved it this season. But Werner is more settled in the world of football and maybe deserves more credits.
Craig?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because if it was Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi for that matter, who is equally as talented, Werner through the middle and Zieych, that's a really flexible front three, and they could rotate. Any one of them could be through the middle at any given time and adapt that kind of role of false number 9. I know Timo Werner's not a false 9, but Zieych and Pulisic could do that and may have to do that. If it was the Tammy Abraham in the front three, then it would be a little bit more predictable and less flexible. And I kind of get the feeling that might be the way Frank Lampard would go to start with, as Frank said, with Timo Werner on the left-hand side and Zieych on the right. And it's not a bad front three, to be honest.
Craig, when the Champions League returns, can Manchester City win it despite their leaky defence?
Well, one of the things that's been a plus for football clubs in some sense, and really the only plus through this pandemic, is the fact that injured players have had an opportunity in the main to get fully fit and heal themselves. And you think about Aymeric Laporte and others who've had problems. That's where City's problems have lay this year in the main. So, with a guy back who is good enough to play in the French national team, doesn't always do it for different reasons, but is certainly good enough, then that could be a big turning point for them in terms of their chances of winning it, rather than where they were, before this pandemic kicked in.
Frank, which Premier League strike partnership do you and Marcel Desailly find the hardest to handle? I'm assuming most Premier League sides played with 2 strikers up front during your time at Chelsea.
I'm sorry, but I tried to remember his name. He was a big fellow at front playing for Coventry. Maybe Craig can help me out. Where
Dion Dublin
signed for the. Yes, exactly. And I remember the first game of Marcel Desailly was straight after the World Cup. We were still on holidays, I think, with Marcel, and we played at Coventry, and Dion Dublin killed us because first he was a very good player, but on top of it, he was a very strong player. And the first time I saw Marcel Desailly flying because of a challenge with Dion Dublin, and I said to Marcel, welcome to England. I think that's the worst game ever that we had with Marcel in the Premier League, being confronted to Dion Dublin. Yeah, that's Mali. That's it. What it is. Yeah.
Do you know what he does now, Frank?
Commentating, maybe.
He presents a show called Homes Under the Hammer on the BBC.
It does.
About flipping houses. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, people forget.
Yeah. Sorry, but I heard him talking, in some interviews that I think very interesting person. So I'm not how do you say? For me, it's clear that he will do something special after his career, and he does it.
He's to be fair, he's a really nice guy, but he was a big horrible sod on the field, and people forgot that he went to Man United as well. Sir Alex deemed him good enough to go there, and then he broke his leg. But he was, as Frank said, the big Dion was a handful. You knew you were in a game, whether you were winning 4-0 or whatever it was. He was going to smash. He was old school in that sense. The centre halves were getting smashed, no matter what.
Final question: what's the most embarrassing publicity stunt a team made you do? Doesn't get much better than Blue Day with Suggs. Craig Burley didn't hold back. If you haven't seen Blue Day, you've got to have a look at it on YouTube, because traditionally the teams would have an FA Cup song, and Blue Day was one of the better ones, actually. It was all right.
We had one in '94 before the cup final, which I can't remember, but we recorded some nonsense. And then, Frank was there and I was there, and we went one Sunday, sort of afternoon stroke lunchtime, to a recording studio, and we recorded this thing with Suggs, who apparently is from Madness, who apparently is I think he's a big Chelsea fan. I'm sure he is. I think that's part of the reason. It wasn't that embarrassing, because that's what teams did back in those days, and it is what it is.
Did you do one for Scotland, Craig, as well, for the World Cup?
No, but did we? No, but I think Rod Stewart may have recorded a song.
Right.
It was called "Don't Come Home Too Soon."
How did that work out?
Well, it failed. Purple Heather.
Blue Day.
I don't know. Huh?
Blue Day. Blue Day was in the charts, I think. He did very well, at that time. I love that song. It was very funny to be there in the studio with all the mates. We really enjoyed the day, and I think the fan liked it. So it was a great time for me. It's not a shameful time for us.
Did you ever have to do anything particularly embarrassing, though, Frank, during your time?
Well, when I signed for Chelsea, we didn't know that, because it's not usual. We brought it from England when I came back to Marseille, but when you sign, you have to sing a song. And I'm not a good singer, even if I did the Masked Singer and I improved a little bit. But at that time in '96, when I signed for Chelsea, I had to pick a song, and I took My Way, but in a French way, which is in fact the original song. And he said "Comme d'habitude," like as usual, and it was very embarrassing. Very, very. I felt, it was horrible for me.
That is it. It went to number 22. I just looked it up according to Wikipedia in the UK singles charts in 1997.
You see?
Yeah.
You see?
Those royalties still rolling in for you boys. That is it. Thank you very much then to Craig and Frank. We'll be back tomorrow for more Extra Time. Until then, goodbye. Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.